number of changes have also been underway at the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The agency is planning to eliminate the Science Advisor's Office under its Office of Research and Development, a role meant to advise the administrator and to ensure that the best science is used to inform environmental policies. You'd think that was important, right? But that's not all. The Trump administration is also moving to weaken U.S. standards for radiation exposure. Experts say the EPA's proposal would increase radiation exposure to medical, oil, and gas workers. Lots going on. Joining me now is the astrophysicist and author of Accessory to War, among other books, but this is his new one, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Lots is happening at the EPA. They placed the...
By the way, the universe is fine.
The universe is fine. It's Earth that's the problem.
Just make that clear.
I just want to sort of get your impression of the relationship between government and good science and good policy.
Well, so I, as a scientist, and my colleagues, we conduct science generally unmonitored by a government agency, which is the effects of our creativity and where we want to take our curiosity. But it tends to be that the biggest funded science is what comes out of a government. And this can move the center of mass of a field in ways that individual workers in laboratories
Because governments sometimes can do things that aren't profitable or they may have greater good.
Correct. They have deeper pockets or they have geopolitical reasons for it. We went to the moon, not for science, but we got some science done along the way. It piggybacked it. So it becomes an issue for the future of a nation if the government doesn't understand what science is or how and why it works. It means that nation will not participate on the leading frontier of how science and technology will transform civilization. Other countries will. By the way, we were at that frontier for most of the second half of the 20th century. And it's the era that I grew up in. You would have had some years in there noticing it. You're a young fellow, though. And so that's the America that I knew and loved. No one was debating the objective truths of science. People said, put more science in, more engineering. That's going to shape our future. Do you see this now? So on a slide.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because your book does talk about how scientists and the military have worked together.
Yes, and that's been well known for the traditional science fields like physics and chemistry. But in my field, you wouldn't think that we would have anything to do with it, except we did. And you go far enough back, navigation was a fundamental activity of empire building. But how do you know where you are on Earth? You get that from the sky. Because we knew what stars you would see and planets at different parts of the Earth. And so you would infer that where you were on Earth from that, and that's how you knew where's your enemy, where's your new conquest, where's the new land you're acquiring. And this is how empires were built, hegemony was extended, and fast forward that to today. Coordinates on Earth still matter. The Air Force, the U.S. Space Command of Air Force put up GPS satellites. And the Second Gulf War, 2003, was a precision targeting war.
We saw images where you'd bomb something and it would go right down a chimney.
Right down a chimney. All of this was enabled and powered by space assets that had been put up. So we have common concerns. The astrophysicist worries about and thinks about the universe. So does the military as the next regime of high ground.
You say the universe is okay. Earth has some problems. This week, representatives from more than 130 countries are meeting in South Korea to discuss climate change. There are many who think that's the most dangerous piece of the U.S. is becoming divorced from science. It's
destabilizing. So a couple of things. First, I don't mind people arguing on political lines what you do about climate change. Okay? Do you put in carbon credits or tariffs on solar panels? Do you invest in your economy to transition? Those have political solutions. But when I see politicians arguing over the objectively identified truths of science, that you are just going to lag behind the rest of the world that understands that. By the way, you're lagging behind two very important elements of modern life. Insurance companies know all about global warming and what its consequences are. And so too does the military. Because if you have rising rising storm waters that didn't used to get to those levels, and you displace whole populations, they become migrants. They become not immigrants.
Refugees.
Refugees.
Yeah.
They become refugees, destabilizing
Right.
the region. The military knows all about this. So you can have political posturing where you're ignoring it because you get votes for it, but at the end of the day, you cannot fool Mother Nature.
I thought your tweet response to the Trump administration tossing around the idea of a space force was pretty remarkable. You said that perhaps we should be thinking about, here, I'm okay with the space force, but what we need most is a truth force, one that defends against all enemies of accurate information, both foreign and domestic.
That's right. Just trying to put that out there. By the way, we have something such as that. It's the National Academy of Sciences.
Right.
They were chartered by Abraham Lincoln in 1863. Clearly, he had other things on his plate at the time, but he said, we need science to help us, the future governance of this nation.
He said liberty is dependent on science. I was at the National Academy of Sciences on Monday discussing internet security. So, yes, there are lots of people who are still very devoted to this, and you are one of them. Thank you so much. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.